Oh, yeah. I have to get a haircut this week, too. I'm sure that won't be fucking challenging at all. God, I fucking hate the holidays. Fucking hate Thanksgiving.
From the Sports Buds, here's the weekly football analysis show no one asked for, the Postgame. Let's start the show.
Let's start it out like that. This is your Week 11 Postgame, everyone. He fucking hates Thanksgiving. God damn it, everyone. He's not looking forward to it. You're not looking forward to it. I have to go grocery shopping tomorrow. I'm about to start delving into the hell. Everyone, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Be the guy that volunteers to go do stuff so you can get away from your family and just be like, let the chaos happen at the house. And just be like, hey, I got stuck at the store. Hey, I got stuck in traffic. Which you probably will end up doing anyways, but you won't have to be around your family for it. So you'll have some type of peace. Download some podcasts, some music.
I have an actual family. I can't do this anymore. I can't just escape. I can't go on the smoking, walk with the cousins anymore. I have priorities now. It sucks. It was July 2 weeks ago. I was celebrating a Nuggets championship, literally 3 weeks ago. What happened? How are we already at Thanksgiving?
That's just how it goes, man. That's just how it goes. Time kind of just flashed forward and it kind of stands still at the same time. I don't know. It's a man-made concept,
Yes, we're here for Tony's philosophical breakdowns where he goes all Matthew McConaughey. Which, by the way, dude, I'm tired of seeing you in commercials.
Chris Billings has had too much of Matthew McConaughey. Okay, as you guys can tell, we don't have one of our sports buds. Nick's on vacay right now. He's got the Thanksgiving.
He's a victim of what we were just literally talking about.
This is true. But he did pose a question in our group chat that I thought we should just go ahead and get to first. As we recap this with the Bengals losing to the Ravens on that Thursday night game and Joe Burrow getting injured, and we find out that Joe Burrow's out for the season, and Nick, in his wonderful ways of wisdom, decides to ask us, is Joe Burrow injury prone? I'll ask you, Chris Billings. What are your thoughts on this question?
It's actually a fair question to start asking about Joe Burrow at this point. I get it. Nick is being antagonistic because of his quarterback, Tua. But what do we always say about Miami when we have these conversations, Tony? We're like, oh, it's predicated on Tua's health, and why aren't we saying that about the Bengals? They succeed when he's healthy and can perform, but when he's not healthy, they don't have a shot. And so we should start asking those same questions with the Bengals of they're a good team, but it's predicated on his health. And I think that's a fair question to ask going forward.
Yeah, I would have to agree. After I saw that stat where he was hit more than Andrew Luck his first 5 years, I was like, man. And I don't even know how you fix the Bengals. I don't think they're going to be able to afford that team as it's currently constructed. And now they have to deal with an injury-prone quarterback. If that's to be the case, does he change how he plays? Does he have to be like Tua and learn how to fall? I don't know.
That's the frustrating thing about the Bengals. I feel like we've been saying that about them for the last 3 years at this point of just they just need to get a better offensive line. Once they get a good offensive line to protect Burrow, watch out. That team's gonna be something to be reckoned with. And we're still there of you asked how they can improve. Let's get a better offensive line.
It is a pretty good offensive line, man. I just think that they're it's their freak injuries from Joe Burrow in that as well. I mean, he didn't come into this season healthy. So I mean, they kind of they've been playing that injury card real close to the vest. They paid him even though he's had these issues. So man, I don't know. I feel like that window might be closing for that team, and I don't know. It's going to be real difficult for them. And
well, they should have just bit the bullet and placed Burrow on IR to start the season. Is really what it looks like at this point. Of just sacrifice those games at the beginning, which you weren't very good with injured Joe Burrow in those games to begin with, and so what do you really lose? And now, your season's kind of lost at this point.
I agree with you, but I think the point that we're getting to here is, say that they do that, we're having this same conversation a month from now at Christmas time, right? Most likely Joe Burrow probably wasn't going to make it through the season healthy. If like the offensive line is what we're critiquing here, and we want that to be better for him, like he probably wasn't going to make it through the season healthy. To be fair, like look at his history. And I mean, this is kind of just proving that. And I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe if they do upgrade that offensive line and it is better and these are just freak injuries, but I don't know, man. I think even though Nick was being antagonistic, he might be on to something here with Joe Burrow being injury prone, and I don't know how to fix it. I mean, maybe that's the fix that they'll try. But they did go ahead and get Orlando Brown from the Chiefs in the offseason, so they have been spending money on that offensive line to try and improve it since he's been there. So it's not like they're not spending money. So we'll see what they do.
They're fucked.
All right. Yeah. Billings, he's happy over there. That's another team that's out of the playoffs.
It helps.
All right, we'll swing it to you and your Denver Broncos, your cardiac Broncos continuing to win nail-biter games. How do you feel about this team?
First off, I just want to say I got a lot of just grief about me picking the Vikings in this game. And I just want to give a hearty fuck you to all those people, because the Broncos not only won, the Vikings still covered, so I won both. I won. But it's like, honestly, I've been fighting wanting to say this, but I've been thinking about it all day. Like, this reminds me of the Tebow season. Where basically, like, I'm just over there in my living room, like, this game's over. Like, Broncos can't even score a touchdown. Like, can't even get a convert on a third down. Couldn't stop the run against one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL. Like, so many bad things until just the very end, where we managed to pull it off with some shenanigans, just like even that 4th and 3 from Russell to Cortland Sutton. Like, I was just like, how did he catch that? Like, so I think at this point, like, it reminds me of the Mile High Magic of Tim Tebow, of just like, all right, like, let's keep rolling with this. But yeah, like, the criticisms I had of this team at the beginning of the season, like, they're still there, but I think what most Broncos fans will tell you today that we haven't seen since the Super Bowl is, like, we're progressively getting better. Like, that's what we've been lacking these last few seasons, is like, you'll take like 3 steps forward, you take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and no, like, it actually seems like we're building on something right now. Like, we've won 2 primetime games in a row. We managed to break the streak against the Chiefs of where they beat us like 16 games in a row. So, like, these are all positive things. And at this point, for me, like, we have 7 games left. Broncos, like, you just need to win 4 of those. You win 4 of those, you have a winning record this season, and that's progress. That's something to walk away from the season, even if we miss the playoffs, of like, all right, like, things are trending upward finally.
Okay, that's fair. Been pretty impressed with the flip that the defense has made from giving up 70 to the Dolphins to forcing like 15 turnovers in the last 3 games, something ridiculous like that. But I don't know. I want to say Sean Payton's coaching job of keeping those games close to win them in the 4th quarter is probably more where I would lean towards than like a Russell Wilson revival just yet. he has been playing a lot better. And I feel like I will have to reassess that probably in a couple weeks. I think I looked at your schedule, and the Broncos play the Browns and the Texans coming up in the next coming weeks. And those are like the perfect teams ahead of you guys in the playoff mix. And so it seems like you're not setting those expectations at the playoffs, but you just want a winning record for this team.
Like for me, I would be happy with this considering how the season started, how the last like 5 seasons or like 6 seasons have gone at this point. Of just, I just want to see some progression. And you're totally right. Like, all credit to Sean Payton on this. And what you're talking about with Russ is like, like they've made him into more of a game manager, but it's where he's not constantly just going out and balling out, where he thinks he needs to win it every play of every drive. And now it's like, no, let's do these things right. And then when Russell needs to shine and have like those crazy moments like that 4th and 3, or like the play against the Bills to Cortland Sutton for the touchdown, like those are old Russ things. And when he can do that every once in a while for us, like that's great. That's better than what we've had in terms of a QB since Peyton Manning. So I'll take that. But Sean Payton, like, he's changed the culture. Credit to him for not listening to the fans and firing Vance Joseph, having a fire sale. Like, he's been patient. He knows that a lot of new things are happening at the beginning of the season, and he stayed true to that. And look where we are now. And so I'm happy as a Broncos fan right now. Like, yes, like the odds are not looking good for the playoffs, but we're talking about it. As Broncos fans, we're talking about it at least. Like, these games matter. They're games we can get excited about finally. All positive things.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I firmly think that they're in that mix now. I mean, I would think that the Jets are probably not there, but I would say it's like the Bills, the Steelers, the Browns, the Texans, and the Broncos. Those 5 teams, you're in that mix. So we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks.
You beat the Browns, and like destiny starts to rest in your own lap at that point. And
absolutely.
I've been saying it since I think like the Bills game. Like, oh, this might be the biggest like Broncos game we've had since Super Bowl 50, and it's just continuing. Like, that Bills game was important. Now that Vikings game was important. Now this Browns game is important. Playing at home. They don't have Deshaun Watson, so let's see what we can do. Let's keep this fucking train going. The only game that I really like am just like, I don't see how we can compete is playing in Detroit against the Lions. But got the Chargers twice, play in Vegas, got to play Cleveland, forgetting somebody else in there, but like, you can win.
Texans, man.
You can win 4 games. It's possible.
We'll see, man. We'll see. And like you said, that's going to be some destiny in your hands right there. Speaking of destiny, let's flip it and talk about your AFC West team here that is on the wrong side of destiny and seems to be cursed. What were your thoughts on Brandon Staley's latest post-game rant?
I get that he's frustrated, but like, not the right way to approach it. Like, I'm surprised he's not gone at this point. Like, I don't know if this is the Chargers being incredibly cheap, of they're just gonna hang it out with him until I guess probably the end of the season. But it was a weird exchange, and like, the media is fair to question that. Like, I know I've given Justin Herbert a lot of shit, but it's the defense that's killing the Chargers this season. They're terrible. They're god awful. And
they are.
And that's Staley. He's doing the play calling.
And like I said, I don't know anyone that doesn't like football that hasn't gotten into some type of Justin Herbert debate at some point. And the reason you get in those debates is because everything else is broken around him. And so you're trying to figure out something else besides the obvious. And like, that's why I'm like, how on earth do you fix that Chargers team? Like, do you think it's possible? Like, that's what I put in there. If they got Bill Belichick, the Patriots are like, yep, later. And Chargers get Bill Belichick. Is that going to fix the Chargers culture? Are they suddenly going to be good? Like, you're like, maybe. Like, I see you nodding, and I'm like,
maybe. The only thing that I could see going wrong is that it's like Bill Belichick, all his disciples, of where they come in like with this like gorilla in a china shop mentality, and they're just gonna break everything, and it's my way or the highway. We've seen that players don't necessarily respond to that. We've seen it fail with McDaniel. We've seen it fail with Patricia. Seen it fail with Bill O'Brien. Like countless. Like, I think Charlie Weiss was one of them as well. Like,
yep.
Dear God. And so that's the only thing. It's how much backing is he going to get from the ownership, which I'm sure if you're getting Bill Belichick, it's going to be like, no, you have carte blanche. But at the same time, like I said, if he comes in, all the players revolt, and the owner's like, well, I'm actually siding with the players on this. So you don't know. But everything tells you that, yes, Bill Belichick, Justin Herbert pairing together is a good thing.
I mean, I could see it, but other than that, I don't know. I look across the league and I don't know if there's, because they need a culture changer. They need someone like Dan Campbell.
But is that the culture
Lions.
you should change it to, though? I think is more what I'm approaching this as, is like, considering the future of the NFL, is like that really the culture you want to build for the next decade? Is that really what forward minds are taking it? Like you see what like Kyle Shanahan's doing, what Mike McDaniel's doing. Like it seems to be kind of almost the antithesis of how Bill Belichick runs some things.
No, man, I like, this is where I would agree with you and say like, yeah, like it makes sense. You could go get like a hot coordinator from like the Lions offensive coordinator, or someone from the Shanahan tree, or maybe an assistant from Miami or in Houston, and they could be the head coach with the Chargers with Herbert, and that would make perfect sense. But to me, like, we've seen that before. Like, their problems are bigger than their coaches. They have to change their culture there, or they're never going to win, regardless of the coach, like regardless of the offensive mind they choose. So that's why I'm like, I have no idea, and that's why I'm like, the Lions, they figured something out with Dan Campbell, and they actually gave him time. He actually has been the coach of the Lions for like 3+ years now, so he's gotten time to become a better coach. And him and Goff have developed there, so that's why I'm like, I have no idea who it is. I have no answers. That's why I just threw Belichick out there as an example of like who the Chargers could hire. That's going to be a tough problem for them to fix, man, but
like on paper, it seems like, yeah, of course, this is going to fix everything. But if like Herbert doesn't respond to Belichick, or Belichick doesn't like Herbert or his like work ethic or whatever, like there's a lot of ways that it could fall apart. And so I just feel like pushing more chips in towards Bill Belichick isn't going to be the quick fix that they think it is.
Yeah, I have no idea. It doesn't seem like there's a quick fix there. I don't know who they can choose, but they need to change their badly.
And like also, like, you're in Los Angeles in terms of just culture, and Bill Belichick does not just those two things don't mix. Like I honestly think of what Chip Kelly's done in UCLA, of just like two cultures that didn't mesh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair example, but I got no idea. No idea who you would choose, man. No idea. It's going to be interesting to see who they hire. I don't think Staley's there next season. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to shit on Jared Goff in our group chat before Nick was shitting on Joe Burrow, and somehow the Lions decided to make some ridiculous 12-point comeback in 4 minutes. So let's talk about this Lions team. We were just talking about Dan Campbell being the perfect match for their culture. How about that win, Billings? What are your thoughts on that?
The Lions are for real?
Are they?
We avoided saying it earlier in the season, but like they're marching along just like any of the good teams right now, whether it's like the Chiefs or the Eagles. yeah, like I mean, Niners have had their stumbling blocks. We've talked about the Ravens; they've had their stumbling blocks. Bills like was one of our top teams to begin the season. They're like in the hunt now, and so yeah, like got to give the Lions some credit. And then also, they haven't started 8-2 since JFK was fucking president, man. Like like black people couldn't vote, Tony. Like, that's...
I agree with you on that. That's well said, and it was a good win. But on the other hand, I mean, the Bears are the number one team that this happens to. Like, this is the Bears. Like, this is the team that blows these games. They blow these games to the Lions. They blow these games to the Commanders. They blow these games to all these teams in the league.
I think it was Martellus Bennett that had a tweet of saying, like,
oh, yeah,
the Bears need to change their culture. And I completely agree with it. They're living in their past. And that's been their whole franchise the whole time I've been alive. It's always 85 Bears, 85 Bears, always looking to the past, like always just like so reverential to that nostalgia and all those different things. And like I think of just the Broncos here of just like they used to wear the D, they used to wear orange jerseys, and they got to a point where they're just like, yeah, we need to fucking like rebrand and do something different. And they like won 2 Super Bowls immediately after that rebrand. But the Bears like haven't considered it, nothing. Like there's just no newness to that franchise. It's completely steeped in the past. And so you talk about the Chargers having like a culture change. I throw the Bears up there as well. And like they're gonna have two of probably the top 3, top 5 picks in the draft next year. And I have zero confidence in either of those picks that they're going to be able to do anything with either of them. I think they need to change things there. Maybe they do need to go to Arlington.
We'll see. I mean, you're right about that. Maybe they can get some clarity on the Justin Fields situation, but good win for the Lions. I will give them that. That was impressive to turn it on in the last 5 minutes. Jared Goff played pretty poorly for the first part of that game. 3 interceptions, so pretty good. Let's close it out here. AFC guy, Bills and Jags right the ship with big blowout wins after disappointing losses. Which team do you have more faith in moving forward?
I wouldn't say the Bills righted the ship.
So you picked the Jags. I guess that's.
I'm gonna go with the Jags. That Jets team is so bad, man. So bad.
Yes. The news came out that Zach Wilson has been demoted to not the backup, to third string for the next game, and Tim Boyle will be the backup. Will be the starting quarterback against the
Pausing
Dolphins.
on this, I texted you this weekend. I was like, why has Robert Saleh just been unwilling to move off of Zach Wilson? And this goes back to last season of just you so stubborn about Zach Wilson. And he's doing it again this year. Why? Why does he have like this loyalty to him that he won't budge? Like this should have happened 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. Maybe he's trying to stick it to management. I don't know. I really don't. It doesn't make too much sense to me.
They're babying.
There it is. There it is. Babying the quarterbacks. Maybe you're right. The Jags, that was a pretty impressive blowout win. And the Bills, they got to beat a good team. That Jets team is falling apart. I do think that the Bills, if they beat like the Chiefs coming up or the Eagles, I'll be like, okay, they're back on track again. But
I'll ask you this though: are the Jags for real though? Like we're both picking the Jags, but like, are they a true AFC contender? Do you see them making noise in the playoffs?
I think so. And it's because of the lack of the quarterbacks, man. And I'm like thinking about if we're like barely 3/4 of the way through the year, another quarterback or two is probably going down before the playoffs start. And if the Jags stay healthy, I would have to say by default, yeah, man. I think they're going to be in the mix, man. I think I could easily see the Jags in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, yeah.
I feel like that's not saying much though for the current
That'd be-
state of
that'd
the
be
AFC.
I agree with you, but that'd be some great progress. I know Nick's Dolphins would love to be in the AFC Championship game. I could see that. Like, we talked about it. I still throw it out there, the All Florida AFC Championship. We'll see
Okay,
if that
how
happens.
about this? Who do you have more faith in, Dolphins or Jags?
That's a good question, man. That is a real good question. I would say I want to say the Dolphins right now because that defense is really making strides, and I like the offense is taking a step back. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they do. I need to see them play.
Finally clicking, but they did have some injuries this past week that definitely are.
Yeah,
You don't want to have those injuries heading into the last month of the season. But no, you're totally spot on that like their defense is starting to click, and Jalen Ramsey coming back, making some noise as well. Yeah,
true game changer for them. True game changer, man. He's turning the ball over every game. So yeah, Dolphins right now.
I'd still say two has got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the goal for this last month. Keep that like honestly at this point, even if you lose a game, to just like not even risk it, to bench him and be like, nope, you're not coming back into this game. We're not gonna risk it. I would lose a game at this point. I think his health is paramount to just most anything for this last month for the Dolphins.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. We've had 10 rookie quarterbacks start. I mean, we'll probably have some more quarterbacks start. We've got Tim Boyle starting for the Jets, and so we've got like 8 weeks of football left. So yeah, stay healthy, stay upright. We don't want injuries on anyone. It sucks about Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
What's hilarious is we started this season talking about like all these new incoming quarterbacks and how it was like this changing of the guard.
They're forcing it on us. They're forcing it on us now, man. We don't have a choice. You better embrace all these new quarterbacks, but
I'm just trying to learn their names, man. Like, fucking bracing them. Just
like DTR, what's going on?
Like, who is this guy?
That's fair enough. I got nothing else for the folks. You got anything else you want to wrap up with here, Billings?
I'd say honestly, one of these episodes we just need to like make up a QB name and say he's starting for like so and so, and I don't think anyone would call us on it. Just like, oh, okay.
I agree. Well, that's the Week 11 post-game show. I was your host, Tony Parlay. For Nickpedia and Chris Billings, we're the Sports Buds. Thank you for watching. You have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.